Hi, folks. Welcome to the Historical Fencing Guild's weekly live stream. Well, folks, this is it, episode 30. Now, triple X to those of you running the Roman numerals and having fun with it. As you can hear, my rooster is crowing at 8 o'clock at night somewhere in the wilds of Indiana. The Historical Fencing Guild is brought to you by, first and foremost, my lovely, amazing, talented, and generous patrons over at Patreon, being Cindy Kep and Steve Augusta. I'm going to give them a shout out early so that there's no forgetting. Secondly, I'm funded by the sales of things like The Simple Sword, the Historical Fencing Guild's Manual of Defense. My bird's been quiet all day. Dead silent, just chill. They ate. Now they're sounding off. Because it's an exciting day, folks. As we journey further into the month of October, it seems the high strangeness is blessing us with insanity, which is why I'm a little late. My longtime viewers will notice the angle is different on my lovely tarp. I was planning to do an upgrade, but it catastrophically failed, which is awesome because I've learned some stuff. Now, I am wearing my happy fluorescent shirt because it's one of the few things my knife blends in on. And very formal wear of Hawaiian shirts because I refuse to let anyone appropriate my geek culture. Now, what are we talking about this week? Boy, howdy. We've got news. We've got some discussion coming up. Good times, better things. I will, for the first part, be doing a whole bunch of videos this weekend. They are going to be some Patreon early release. They're going to see them first, and then I'll roll them out at the end of the month about supernatural defense. Folks really wanted it, and I talked to my patrons, and I'm like, what do you guys want? Because that's what Patreon is for. I want to serve you guys. And they're like, hey, how to fight. I'm about to do some anti-chicken defense here. Anyhow, how to defend yourself against supernatural creatures using related skills for fun and profit. And I will be going into that in detail for certain well-known Western tropes. Thus far, werewolves and vampires are hard on the list. I say fae loosely because, not messing with the fae is always a good idea, but I will give some breakdown hints, tips, and tricks for the folks curious there from a Swordmaster, retired paranormal investigator, and a few other shady things. The beverage of the night is, of course, bootleg Mio that I have made a cocktail of, slightly stronger. And by cocktail, I mean I have two forms of Mio, the black cherry and a hint of vanilla thrown in there, no alcohol, because my whole family is indeed allergic to alcohol. We break out in handcuffs. So this week we're setting to talk about sickles. And as I said, I am fascinated with agricultural adjustment weapons. I have two viewers. No likes. Guys, don't be scared of the like button. I know the darling Cindy Cap is watching, muted, silenced by the vile forces of a tablet that won't let her respond. But I hope in the near future she will be liberated from that technomancy prison and able to impart her and wisdom, and maybe throw a link to Cindy Cap, CKOEPP2Ps.com for her authorial literary goodness, because I like to plug my friends. Anyway, back to the sickle. Sickles are great fun. They're light, they're fast. And like I said, I bought this in a set of 4. They are very rigid, but this is one of the few times where the rigid doesn't bug me as much. A little bit more flex would make them a whole lot safer, but I can understand that it's difficult to do. And that a sickle is a control weapon. Well, I have, partially prepared, looked into the wonders of the sickle, and I thought, well, it's a lot like a scythe. Why isn't there a great sickle? There is! But it's not what you think, at least in title. When you think of a scythe, which I don't have any of them in here because a quick test revealed I would destroy my computer study room and unleash Lydia upon the world to wreak havoc in a fit of rage if I were to attempt to even handle my assorted trainer size I've been working on this week. But the crafting videos and use video will be coming out in the near future. But, so I need to improvise what a scythe is on no time. Still here. Listen to Knifey. Stab them, kill them, with their flight. Knifey. Anyway. When you think a scythe, you think a big old stick, which this is. And you think a horizontal, usually about yay long. What do I have that can represent that? Oh, I have the perfect thing. I just have to figure out where it is. A scythe, with a slight inward curve. So this is really close, grabbing what props I have handy, to what you think of when you see a scythe. And I am talking, in this case, to be clear, because there's some speech impediment issues happening here. Scythe, as in our boy, the Grim Reaper, secondary mascot to 2020, outside of our dear friend, the Plague Doctor. But you think of this. Now, while there are manuals about fighting with an agricultural scythe, the reality of handling an agricultural scythe in combat is they're not comfortable. They curl on themselves early, and they're incredibly heavy. Now, remember when we were talking about great axes. Great axes, or fighting axes, do not have gigantor axe heads, because that's a lot of weight to be able to withdraw. They tend to look much more like somebody put a tomahawk head on a walking stick. This one makes it useful. It's comfortable to carry, cheap to produce, easy to replace the handle, and you have leverage for power, speed, and agility. It's a light, devastating, agile weapon that the peasantry would be very, very rapidly and easy to adapt to. They know how to make an axe go. It's just longer. Okay, what's that have to do with size? Well, I did find items that basically look like this. Long-handled sickles. And they do exist, but they don't call them sickles. Now, I'm thinking it may be a discussion where the term shifts, but apparently if it's at the end of a long stick, it's a scythe. At the end of a short stick, it's a sickle. I'm still looking into this. This is interesting. Etymology fascinates me. But there comes to be a practicality side of, okay, again, well, this is good, but what if it was longer? And again, finding the oddest of all props, which is, this actually threw me off. I kept double checking. A war scythe looks more like this guy. You have a slight inward curve, but instead of being this 90-degree sweeping weapon, it's a thrust and chopping weapon. This is fascinating, folks. And they're really popular relatively late in the period. I mean, 16th century German war scythes are much more like a straighter sickle blade, straightened, than the sweeping 90-degree big wide arc, kukri falcata looking weapon, each blade mounted on. So this is interesting. And I think I will be able to prove later when I'm doing the more lab side of things. This is the lecture side. This is where we talk, we comment, we get stuff on. It's harder to fight with. It's more tiring, much longer than this. But if you do this, it becomes essentially a spear with a bad attitude. A proto-glaive, something like that. And then, you take this and way back at this end, which, were we dealing with one of any more reasonable practicality, would probably add 1 to 2 more feet on the haft, okay? So we want a 6 to 7 foot haft, giving us a nice 8 foot with the bit of blade, and then a butt spike. Now, some schools don't use butt spikes, some did. Butt spikes are a fascinating thing, but I will always say, why not at least have a butt cap? Because even if you're walking with it through the dirt, the butt spike isn't going to be too destabilized. You put a cap on there, the haft is, and you have the polearmman's response to a close. Being able to short shank either end adds tremendous versatility to the weapon. And again, the design persists and almost evolves. And I wonder in part if there's not a bit of a parallel evolution of a scythe to a war scythe that gives you a bit more things like glaives and like spears with attitudes reminds me of me. Well, John, if you look at the kind of pole arms you tend to fight with, we are joined by John Miner. Everybody say hi, John. Hi, John. You and Amanda, your protege, and a few others, really tended to like very relatively straight, very simple pole arms. You have always had a certain affection from the outside to weapons of a more agricultural, a more basic nature. And I think that's appealing. It's appealing to a lot. Thank you for the likes. Wow. All right. While we're here, we have the amazing Cindy Cap. Hi, Cindy. I'm so glad you escaped your techno-romantic prison. Trelena Bachman's here. Guys, it does my soul good to know she's getting to see the live feed. A lot of my regular go-to people, because of their schedules and that, they have lives on Friday nights, can't always make it. So it really does my heart so good, especially with some of the news that's coming up. And John says, Little John is with me Little John is with me. I am at home this weekend. Awesome, John. I'm glad you need to spend some time at home. John runs Swackhammer Metals, which is going to go back to making stuff if I have anything to say about it. And if I have any luck, free samples are going to come my way. If anything, because I'm a hobbit, so any weapon he makes, we will take like a third the materials. Although I'm sure he needs a little tiny, like, mini anvil just to function with my fluffy midgets. Troy is happy to see you. Guys, if you're watching this on the broadcast, always turn on the chats or I sound completely schizophrenic. Now, since I've got some of the major players here, and a few more should be rattling in. Not next. Whew, not next, thank heaven. I'm sorry, Halloween is very much my busy season on a lot of levels, and it looks like the high strangeness has found me once again, folks. He's planning Throbbit-sized weapons just for me and Misty Monday. That's great. I'm going to catch flack for that reference for the folks who understand it, and that is okay, too. Because it's one of the funniest movies I ever saw back in the day. Now, getting back into the flow. Announcement. And since I have enough people, it matters. Some of you, especially Cindy Cap, know that I frequently hassle my good friend, fellow author and publisher, Brian K. Morris. If you don't follow him, look up Rising Tide Publishing, look up Brian K. Morris, and follow him because Monday, Wednesday, and Friday he does Never Mind the Morning. Never Mind the Morning. No, see, that's my morning. That's my joy. Never Mind the Furthermore, where a bunch of deranged artist and creator types talk and exchange ideas and play. But he also does another show called Clever Title Pending. Great title. Usually more toward the comic book industry. But yours truly, Nick Talker, will be actually on Clever Title Pending November 3rd, barring disaster, God willing, the creek don't rise. So I'm really, really excited about being able to talk shop with my my authors, plug my stuff, because I'm putting out some stuff. I'm working on a lot of stuff, and my patrons are being so patient. Thank you, because that's what I want. I want to be able to put stuff. I have certain distinct repeating messages I love to throw out there. Like explain that you can do it. Don't be afraid to fail. Perfection should not paralyze you. These sorts of things. And they need to be discussed because it overlaps all the fields. Now, I need to take a quick moment, ratchet it down a bit. Right now is actually the funeral of a former coworker of mine that due to my susceptibility to the virus, I cannot attend. And that did interfere with my mentality for some of the things I planned, both for tonight and this weekend work rounds. I'm not going to bring her name because you guys don't know. Most of you have no chance of knowing her, so it's not a lot of overlap. I have, in my time, played many roles, and I've been a member of many casts. And during a certain time, I overlapped with this woman, and she passed, and she passed in a very personal way. And I thought about how best to deal with that, and I realized the best thing I can do is what I do, which is try to keep putting out just a bit of light, folks, because I'm kind of a dim bulb next to some of the people I know. Like, just on this list, Cindy kept putting out novels and books and amazing stuff. Trelane is probably one of the sharpest people I've ever met. Most undeniably creative. And right now, what she's doing, she's building bridges and stuff. But she's also writing some projects that I will hold her to. And she's one of the greatest swordswomen I've ever had the pleasure to know and the honor to teach. John Miner is just a tour de force over and over again. He's a man who keeps losing everything and having to rebuild from the bottom and learning that lesson. And that's a lesson I in my own humble way have found too. We build from the bottom. And thank you for the virtual hug. 2020 has sucked in some aspects. It is rough and it is scary. It is kind of terrifying for me because of my rather specialized susceptibility. People who are like, oh, if you only have pre-existing conditions, folks, I have almost the perfect storm of pre-existing conditions. I just need to be over 65 to be like the golden child of this thing. So I have to be careful, and it sucks because I get to see people who, through locality and situation, can go out and do a lot of things that I'm just not permitted right now, and then see a lot of people who aren't maybe being as safe as they should, and it hurts because it makes you feel like a coward. But I got a kid who needs me, and I got a wife who needs me, and maybe I got a me who needs me too, and that's a big thing. So look after each other, and if you're feeling lonely or scared or sad or angry or whatever, express that to someone. Do not let the bubble around you crush you. And help. We gotta pay it forward for a while. Because right now, even though we might not want to, uh, we got the people who are capable of generating light, of going forward, of building up, are going to be the little distraction that keeps folks sane. If that's all we can, if that's all I accomplish, if all I can manage is for a few minutes on a Friday night to make somebody laugh, maybe if a comment to make somebody witty, then I'm doing my job. Not as much as maybe I used to, but it's what I can do. And I'm seeing some greatness. I'm seeing John Miner and Trelano reconnect a bit, which is beautiful. Trelana was with me on the outside of one of the hardest times of my life. And John was on the inside. Basically, when I broke off with the SCA, things were rough on me. And it went ugly, folks. And I don't talk about it a lot. And I'm not going to, because full drama is not drama that's needed. I'd rather encourage people to train and better themselves in whatever organization they choose. And be a light. I like to tell people who understand the statement, I was woken from the dream and I'll never be able to go back, because that's the nature of a dream. But I can help others in their dream. So that's what I do. And that's part of what we're doing here. Thank you. Thank you, Trelana. I'm just a guy with a little lantern in the twilight forest trying to help folks. Haha, caught it. Find their way back to their path. Sorry, I lost my fed. Okay, but feed. My internet may be dodgy. If it is, I apologize. Let me know. They're changing out who owns the towers, and it's been a whole debacle. But while this is going on, I'm going to keep talking. I am, like I said, I am interested in how adaptation happens in martial arts. And many of you here know Richie. Richie Asplund. Okay. Sorry about that, John. Richie Asplund asked me to do a version of the simple sword geared toward people with physical limitations. And I'm going to do some videos. I may even write up a pamphlet, but understand, everything I put in the simple sword, everything I put in the style, I present to you guys every day. And I mean every day, because it's up every day. Even if I'm not streaming live, the video is up. And that's what it's there for. This isn't about me getting rich, because I'll be honest, I make a couple bucks off of my books. Literally like $2 a book. Maybe 3 on some. Well, after cost shipping and stuff through Amazon. It's not about that, although I do like the money. It's about getting knowledge and opportunity to people that would be otherwise denied it. And so when you look at how I say approach, I've developed minimal body motions, okay? And the reason I did that is I want people to be able to do this. This is a base. This is a foundation. Now, you take somebody like, John. John's got, well, thank you. Cindy says the information in the simple sword is adaptable. And, that's the point. It's a basis. Now, somebody like John's got backgrounds in Hapkido and Aido and Western heavy fighting, because the simple sword is really rooted in rapier, because I think that's the most adaptive place to build from, especially for somebody who may be physically weaker or smaller. But we can We can build from that. And Trelena says, for sure. And, it's like John came to me an accomplished swordsman, an accomplished martial artist. What he needed from me was a way to adapt what he knew to the rules of the game and equipment that they were asking for. It was one of the most interesting experiences as a trainer because I wasn't training John. It wasn't like, this is how you stand, this is how you hold a sword. It was a very much a colleagues having a dialogue. And that exchange more than a lot, because I trained with a lot of people, and I don't talk about them largely because I have a reputation in certain circles and I don't want to damage their reputation. Whether I think positive or negative of them, the mere association of me can be radioactive. And I learned that years ago. So I simply don't. But I learned a lot and I tell a lot, but it was people, this is right. No, well, why? And the very debate. And I'm not looking for a debate. I'm looking for a discussion. A debate is we're going to throw opinions and facts at each other till somebody wins. A discussion is I have an idea, you have an idea. Let's see what works best for us, and make a product. The product is a theoretically superior form of thought, a consensus of we can do this. And and while I was looking at this, I saw this ever widening gap where you have people who don't know what they're doing, who want to learn defense, who want to learn Western martial arts. And then there's these huge, it's not even gatekeeping, because for there to be gatekeeping, there needs to be a gate. Okay, first you need to have a wall of, just finding somebody, and then affording their tutelage, and affording gear, and affording the time to work on it, and having the health to work on it, all these barriers. And I'm like, let's blow that stuff away, folks. We're teaching something that's been taught for thousands of years in one form or another. And there isn't, when you pick up the manual, any of the bigger, fancier manuals, to an extent, you're going to find that there's an assumption of knowledge. And that wasn't there. So one of my big goals, especially with the simple sword, is make a survey course that fills in a bridge between I don't know and I know enough to understand what the masters are saying from a critical perspective. And John says you get taught everything you can take in, then drop what doesn't work for you and adapt your style to what you keep to enhance your abilities and include what works. Basically, the philosophy of Jeet Kune Do of Bruce Lee, what I lovingly refer to as the buffet concept, the buffet philosophy. If you look at the way I fight, you look at what I've read, I'm a big fan of Gigante, so I'm going to take a pile of Gigante. Let me get some of this good Gigante. Gigante is like the house low main of fencing to me. It can be a meal all by itself, or it's a wonderful basis. And then I come over to a little bit of, is that Thibault? Is that Spanish? It's got a little muy caliente. We're going to put this nice hot Spanish stuff on there. And it starts to integrate and it crosses over. And I'm like, be some good the sushi. I'm going to look at some of the Iaido concepts. I'm going to look at some of the Eastern systems. Yes, let me look at the way that gin goes, Dr. Jane bring me. And I mix it all up, and my fat guy self is happy because I have a buffet of delicious concepts of sword fighting. Now, not everybody has the same taste. And sometimes I'm in a different mood. So you take somebody like John, that's going to be like, first off, this plate is too small. I need some, I got a message. Now, as always, people who actually know me, I do keep Facebook Messenger going on the off chance that something needs to be discussed. And, okay, that isn't related to this, so I will keep moving on. Okay, John's dropping some of his bona fides, I believe. He's saying Master Sung and So, Kendo, military longsword, Spanish circle, silver, etc. Exactly. Guys, I talk a lot, but one of my favorite authors of all time for a fencing manual is George Silver. Not necessarily that I agree with him, although it's interesting to see his take on essentially side sword versus rapier for practicality. No, you read Silver for just the hate-filled shade he throws at the beginning, and the fact that George Silver pretty much codified the world's simplest offhand dagger technique. And I think it's rare that one second here. I need somebody. Knifey, yeah. Hi, I'm Knifey. Stab everyone, kill them, get them. Enough, Knifey. Anyway. Scottish sword. I have a lovely volume rattling around. Oh, here it is. We're going to drop things. John's mentioning Scottish sword. If you are interested in Scottish fencing, and I'm not paid by anybody, this just happened to literally be in reach. This is a great first source manual. This is a great discussion. I am offended by the way that the Scots were depicted at Feast of the Hunter's Moon. They completely undervalued the effectiveness of a side sword and a targe in QCB combat. It was BS, and I'm still cheesed. Find out why by reading this book. Oh, I got this through Amazon. It's presented by Maestro Jared Kirby. Introduction in Historical Essays by Maestro Paul McDonald and Ben Miller. Ben Miller is a good source for finding stuff. They are not actually in here because they are near my bedside because I was perusing them. I am excited that in November I'm going to be talking about historical swordplay. I'm getting off topic, but you guys don't seem to mind. In that I have some wonderful treatises by George S. Patton on his sword, the last production American sword, and why his saber was switched to a straight sword for practicality. It's fascinating stuff. The manual is delightful to look at, and Amazon has dropped some of these source materials. Somebody's reprinting this stuff at like $7, so I can't bash it. So that's my bit of research. As we go into winter, I like to have certain systems to look at, and I love the evolution and the transition because history has kind of repeated in that weapons we liked before armor was regularly worn versus weapons we like after then the armor was taken away by the firearm, and there was a period of knife and sword and stuff, and we're actually creeping into a period where armor is coming back. So it may be more, we may see more massive weapons. It'll be fascinating to watch the melee weapons of the modern military. It's something to keep an eye on. But getting back to our man Silver here. If I'm about to skewer you, and I got this one. This is my Happy Italian side sword I helped design. I don't get any money from the sales, but I did get a second one, and this is one of the best synthetic swords on the market. I know I plug it, but I plug it because it's just that good. My only beef is I wish it were a little narrower because I do have tiny, tiny throbbing hands, as John put it. But primary sword. Boop, boop. Okay. Secondary sword. The dagger. I love me a parry dagger. I want to protect the high line. Windshield wiper up. I want to protect the low line. Windshield wiper down. If you do nothing else but that and occasionally poke at you with it, if they get close, you understand and can operate this device. To its greatest extent, no. But can you make it go? Yes. And it really is roughly that easy. It's a little tiny sword that you cover your high line or you cover your low line. This sword can handle the rest. So that is a really neat, and that is an incredible distillment of Silver's logic. But Silver's Paradoxes of Defense are a great read. You can get them on PDF a lot of places because there's no translation. To this day, my favorite Gigante translation is by Tom Leone, and it's called Into the Soleil, Italian Rapier. Gigante's a fascinating person because his take on rapier has elements that can be modified, transfer over to two-handed sword, and I find that neat. John says, Case Claymore, longsword, reach over 12 feet. Kills with both hands, I assume that's... Yeah, John, I regularly, just about weekly, I remind folks, fight with weapons scaled to you. So, please, fight with weapons scaled to you. Now, I would love to hear Trelena's list, because I know Trelena definitely favors very much Gigante. That laid back is almost a her variant of Gigante is legendary and it's beautiful, with random hints of Fabris, just spicing it up, and then of course whatever shade she picked up from me and the others. So yeah, Trelena, I would love for you, if you're still watching, write up. Yeah. Favor a bad leg? Wait a second, you're saying like we're training to be adaptive. Oh, wait. I condensed that to be a little more powerful than usual. Wow. A homemade energy drink. Yay. But yeah, Gigante, you're great with Gigante. And I mean, we joke about Fabris, but do you have any other styles you feel really comfortable? I mean, obviously, your tortoise shell, I've been looking for a reasonable replacement upgrade for a long time. It's such a unique secondary. Oh, exactly. So Fabris is more of a mode than a style. Okay. And John says, Batleth from Worf on the Enterprise. I believe the Batleth was designed to be deliberately difficult to use. And, well, oh, absolutely. If I had to pick one classic master to reference, I would reference a Gigante, and I would use Tom Leone's translation. I actually, in my early years, I found a free translation, and it caused some mix-up because some people thought I was using Leone's for a class that I actually wasn't. I was using this Gross or something. I can't remember the guy's name. Anyway, it was basically an Italian student who did that as his thesis. Absolutely. That tortoise shell is it's a fascinating tool, and I'm really thinking we need to get a mound. I want to recreate your tortoise shell. I've been thinking on it. I think if we get some Kydex or some HDPE and we mound up either just earth or something like Sculpey, so we can get that mold, we can just cook the plastic down to make the very specific ball shape, and then re-support it. And I want to see that done. It was a bent baking sheet. Yeah, but I mean, you forget I have fought with so many things, and so few of them resonate with me. And not only that, if we got isekai'd, okay, if we got sucked through the portal into a colorful world. Okay, you're a Warbler, probably. Michael's the selling cosplay stuff now. I've been playing with some of the stuff. Fill me in. And you know what? Talking to John can make a lot of stuff. I'd love to see a, almost Riot Shield grade version, possibly even transparent like a Riot Shield, although I know it's behind your shield. Tortoiseshell. John, meanwhile, because I don't want him to feel like I'm ignoring him, he said Batlance from Worf, which I have my displeasure with. But I think because it's a ceremonial weapon, it wasn't made to kill easily. If you look, when they aren't doing ceremonial stuff, a lot of the short swords, which makes sense in close quarters, almost like fighting aboard a ship makes a long weapon difficult, are much more aggressive and simple. But John says cross between glaive and double dagger, I assume double dagger fight with American knife fight. I will say, if you were looking at knife fighting, anything by Doug Marcaida is going to be just an elevated approach. It's a place where thought and screama and military application and a few other, Kali kits in there. It gets, things with rings. That's fine. But I also recommend anybody who's looking into knife fighting, look up a book. I can't remember the author. But Knife Fighting Techniques from Folsom Prison. That's a real book. It's actually very well thought out, and it breaks the duelist mentality. I am a rapierist, and I love rapier fighting. But I am probably one of the most practical rapierists you'll ever see. And my approach to any, at the end of the day, it's very, very sharp, very brutal, close-in. Knife fighting is ugly, and I will always love it. It's partly why I love ale daggers, and, I am still on my eternal quest for a fighting version of this, which John Miner gave me. This is my happiest sword. I absolutely adore this thing. It's light, it's balanced, it's fast, it protects my hands. I could actually have the guard slightly bigger, possibly not, centered instead of the off-center, because this is very much a right-handed beautiful. And I'm still kind of, everybody's got to have a holy quest, but one of mine is to get a brace of these. Oh, yes. Knife fight that has a subtle subtitle: Knife Fighting Techniques from Folsom. Street Ball with the Last Monkey on the Ark. Okay, wait. Well, I lost track of the comments. John mentioned some Star Trek stuff. Met Ida Kali is a joy to behold. It is. You're going to get to see aggression. You're going to get to see fluidity. And that's one thing Western. And that's why when I say Historical Fencing Guild, it isn't solely Western. Because I believe the farther east you go, the more understanding on fluidity as a mentality. It just isn't taught. Understanding the elegance between the tiles, a lot of people look at things like Thalhofer and, tile 1, frame 1, blah. That's it. Yes, Cindy Cap, that's right. Put them down, take them out, Knife Fighting Techniques from Folsom Prison. That is just, it's beautiful. Yeah, and it is. Third Monkey, I'm sorry. I had both YouTube and Facebook have been funny, especially since it's a weapons-based style. But yes, look it up. Put them down, take them out. Knife Fighting Techniques from Folsom Prison. I think it should be, if I were designing a proper course where I was running it, everybody coming in at the same time, required reading for different subsections, that would be required reading, if anything, for the philosophy of defense. I'm a big fan of the guy tactically, and he runs the War Poet Society, John Lovell, and he's a vet. He knows what he's talking about. and he's very much a war poet. He's a philosopher. He's a combatant, and he's brought in some knife guys. And I cannot remember the knife guy he brought in, but he was talking about the knives he's decided, and they are literally very close to this worn scout carry. Small, aggressive knives. Now it's interesting because even when I first joined the SCA, when I was active, back when we were training at the VFW hall in Lakes in Lake Central. God, what's the name of that town? Anyway, well, yeah, you need okay. Lake Station, thank you. Something happened, and everybody got a knife, and everybody pulls out their knives. And at the time, I was carrying. It was an 1.5-inch lockback knife, about this long, closed, obviously, about that long open, just a little flick. It was lost. It was a little bit shorter than this, but not by much. It was about that by that in a kind of lockback. Just a nice little cheap knife I bought and I fell in absolute love with. And it actually is the reason why Sword Sage on YouTube, who's rather well known in certain circles, and I became friends because he's like, anybody who carries that knife doesn't have anything to prove and knows what they're doing. I don't need to carry, a freaking Bowie to solve most problems. Now, if I'm dealing with problems, I'm going to carry a problem solver. This is a solution. I don't like the grip entirely, but this was a gift from Jim Robertson. And this for years was my door greeter sword. I actually have switched to something a little easier to handle indoors and a little less provocative, but it's where I can access it. Then, not now, because God forbid somebody mess with me in the middle of this broadcast. I mean, I have a glut of weaponry. Trelana says, you befriend people in the best, oddest situation. Oh, absolutely. To this day, my anxiety makes me sit up and ponder if I was mansplaining or not. And I don't think I was. And probably the sign that I'm worried about it is a good sign that I wasn't. But when I first met Trelana, I was on campus, PNC. Yes, PNC, not PNW. Oh. If you could, okay. So I had to do the dance while it reloaded. Okay, there was an actual cat concerning it. Thank you, because I don't want to overstep. Gosh, Mandy was making fun of me because she's like, you were such a fae. But because I have a whole different rule set that confuse people, and then you go, well, maybe he's part fae, and then everything makes sense. It's like, anyway, walking by. I'm gonna go to class. I got some caffeine. Actually, I wasn't even going to class. I think I was leaving because I was in a good mood. So I must have been leaving. Yeah. Refill my Mountain Dew again, go out the door. And I hear. So what is the difference between a catapult and a trebuchet anyway? Conscious Nick is, now, Nick, don't do it. They're talking. They didn't ask. But the finger of knowledge is... Well, you see, a trebuchet uses counterweight, and a catapult uses tension, rope tension. Spun up. And we got into this... You see, you guys think I'm being facetious or dramatic. I really am that dramatic. It was misstep or mid-step a lot. Because it was just... wall. It's like a wall of really thick cellophane. Not pushed through. Okay, let's answer this question. So I go through, and I am eternally grateful because Trelana is one of the best friends I've ever had the honor and privilege of knowing. I would call her a better human being than I am, but I would never insult her so much by considering her human. John, give it a second. Everybody steps back when you stand up, John. You're a giant. And I know it never gets old, because like in the back, not quite the full sabah, but just it really had the hair that went everywhere. And I was at that time, I was 150 pounds. I was short. Yes. Oh, God. And taste. John is right. John really. No, you know what? I'm not going to say that, because I really believe that if John and Steve Clausen, who's not watching this yet, or if he is, he hasn't commented, were to do a fusion dance, Dragon Ball Z style, you literally would get Santa from the Guardians movie, Russian Santa. Naughty, nice. Haggard. It really is. Like I said, we went to see the Harry Potter movie together. When he and I stood up, we got a standing ovation because they thought the movie was based on us. Not a jest, not a straight line. And he rides a motorcycle. It's just so, yes. One of these days I'm going to make a sign that says, "No, really, John's that big," and just do this and then put it down, because I know I'll need it next week. But yes, so I am Saint Krampus. I got accused of being Krampus one year for Halloween. I didn't mean to. I was just wearing my satyr costume because, people have satyr costumes. And I was going to take my son trick-or-treating, and I needed a stick. And I wanted lights. So I made the staff, and I wrapped it in lights. And they were like battery-powered Christmas lights. And then all these kids ran away. Because screaming, "It's Krampus, don't put me in your sack," which I was okay with, because it's nice. If I can't be loved, I will accept feared. But yes, now John's talking about running around with a bag and chains, although he has walked around with people on chains before, but it's a very different situation than that, and consent was totally involved. Anyhow, but you have to imagine Troy, since we're going to bust me out. I was this little tiny guy, Troy. My dear friend Trelana, who, yeah, we won't go there, who I still consider one of the most beautiful women I've ever known, was at this period in her life where she was cosplaying as Duo Maxwell from Gundam Wing every day, and messing with people, where she would switch from walking like a chick to walking like a dude, to mess with like bros who may or may not have been orbiting. It was great times. Those were good days. But when I met John, I thought he was a wall, and then I had to figure out why walls had pockets, because unlike just everybody else, when he stood up in front of me, yeah. No, it really was. She had this beautiful braid, and I think that might be part of. I wonder if Trey cut her hair as an action of embracing her femininity because she hid behind a male long-haired persona. That's intriguing, and while off topic, something I will be pondering late into the night, because such mysteries wrap my mind. I am not Mozzie. The person who just pinged me, I am not Mozzie. Wow, I actually got like a full shh. I'm shushing, largely because I'm afraid of you. But no, I got a message that said basically, "You're Mozzie, aren't you?" No, I am not Mozzie. I'll never be Neil. I have a brother who looks like Neil Cafferty, and I always add a T when it's Cafferty. But I am not Mozzie. I have no business in Detroit. My hair is actual, and I am mostly socially connected. She's Faye. You should fear her. Anyway. God, my lady. There it is. Trolita said she is a delicate flower. God. Yes, she is. Anyway, no, I'm not. I don't smell fudge either. I'm not going to deny Artie because I was, I'm not Jewish. Nothing wrong with being Jewish. I'm not Jewish. But that was eerie. Warehouse 13 bothers me sometimes. Love the show, but it bothers me. And I'm going to go off on a minor. Oh, poor Cindy is going to see me in person and wonder where this person y'all is talking about. Well, that's because you shapeshift because you're a Fae, Trey. Right now, you're lovely. You got short hair, and I'm pretty sure you're better with a jackhammer than most people I know. And that's kind of awesome. I've never been one to be intimidated by strong women. I take comfort in people's being capable, or as a certain quote goes, I cannot abide useless people. I want to argue. I want to argue because Trey's like, Warehouse 13 is based on you. I'm completely convinced of this. I want to argue. But then I think about certain events that may have happened today involving the possibility of a hidden tunnel system found somewhere there shouldn't be, and the proliferation of what would be gotten for where. Yeah, Oh no, John, you're okay. John's threatening people who'd mess with Trey. And yes, Cindy, someday, when, guys, when, I'm going to tell you, when the world is safe again, and I don't have to worry about my lungs imploding, we're all going to get to the secret tunnel. Possible. I am doing research. Also known as, what was that wonderful phrase? God, I can't remember it. The Great Strangeness. No, it's something strangeness. There's a term. Found me today. Anyway, I will host a very special event somehow. I'm working on the details. I'm going to have all my assorted guildy types out. We will have a guild day. And there will be fighting in assorted styles. There will be food cooked over fire, humor, inappropriate humor. Dear God, did they just say that humor? It will be a good time. And I'm not quite sure how yet, because we have to get through this business. But definitely, in the post BS world. I am hopeful to bring us all together for merriment and combat and discussion, and Nerf darts. Yeah. John, I love you, but the whole be cool, because overstep and I'll put a poison dart in the back of your neck. It may be a javelin, but it'll work. Anyway, no, yeah, see, love. There's love. We love each other. I just threatened to poison javelin. I'm in a mood. But yes, to get back, yes, there might be under a certain location that I was recently investigating underground railroad slave tunnels that were taken over by the mob and then possibly, but not definitively, filled in. High strangeness. That's the word. The high strangeness has found me again. And don't work in there. So I'm seeing how that's going to right out. Yeah, but there might be a new entrance. Anyhow, we'll see. We've got some other interesting little tidbits. As Halloween approaches, I take a brief reminder, please don't summon anything larger than your head. Remember, if you want to decorate for Halloween, go to Spirit Hall, Halloween and all that. Don't go to the spell shop and get things you don't understand. It's as idiotic as putting up a menorah and a nativity scene as an atheist for the ambiance. It just doesn't make sense, and it's gonna cheese folks off. So don't do it. Yes, no Ouija boards. I don't have a lot of hard rules when it comes to people expressing themselves, religious beliefs, etc. I'm very, very tolerant, but there are certain tools I'm not fond of. No Ouija boards. Yes, the summoning head is a joke. A normal person's head, not mine. A very large head, but I'm an American, so we have to use anything but a clear scientific measure. I mean, I could be like, nothing over, a cubic decameter, and that would have a scientific. But I'm an American, so I'm going to say things like, maybe cantaloupe. Yeah, keep your spirits under the size of cantaloupe. We measure less than a bag of chips. That's including the air. Don't want to be fair. John says, if I use the ballpark as a size limit, and I'm like, I can see you trying and possibly successfully messing with something the size of a ballpark. I'm not cleaning up the mess. I'm gonna pull out my sign that says retired. Why? Because I got so tired it came back around. Retired. Oh, Cindy, appreciate it. The metal knot with things you. In this case, both John and Trelana are highly educated on the subject matters I'm discussing, and that's why I'm allowing No, John, no. Please don't summon things. I don't need to get 3 a.m. calls anymore and say, hey, Nick, what? I won't give the full details, but I actually got a call from a guy whose response was, The swirling mass of smoke and scaled tentacles knotted up wants to be my friend. Wants to eat your face. If I don't give a lot of specific supernatural, like don't mess with it. If you see a swirling mass of clouds and overlaid serpentine tentacle-y things in a ball, it does not want to be your friend. You are not special. You are delicious. Sorry. I don't think John's dumb enough to summon things. That being said, please get them because John is related to Tommy. And I love Tommy dearly. Tommy. But you guys ever wonder who gave birth to the huge level of you rolled a 20 at the wrong time and my soul started crushing? That'd be Tommy. Whom I love, and he's doing mostly better, but and guys, this is not the year. A lot of things are tonal, okay? There are places you can make it an appropriate joke. Doing it in the middle of a church sermon maybe not be the best idea. Yes. It's 2020. I'm not putting saying put a ring of salt, salt, brick dust, powdered iron, powdered silver, the magnetized electric paint pen, and a few other colorful things, including a certain wind chime I designed, around your house. I'm not saying that. I'm not doing that to mine, but my house used to be a vicarage, so that's a whole different ballpark. Ha! Okay, I gotta share this. The ring of salt blocks. As soon as that was discussed, all I could see was a herd of deer and 3 Wendigo going right outside of his yard. Just livestock and supernatural monstrosities. And my nephew George is chewing on one like a dog with a bone. I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna get in trouble for that, but I don't care. I'm really off the rails this week, folks, and that's okay. I will be doing some more physical descriptive things with some sickles and scythes this week. It's just, like I said, I got a little derailed. Just be smart. You've watched horror movies. Don't do what people in horror movies do. And if you are ever approached by an old dude with an ugly dog in a pickup truck, usually with an accent, that says something like this. I have a hat. Huh. You ain't from around here. No, we're not. We're passing through. Go in them woods. Loup Garou, he come for you. And drives off. You leave! If you ever have a Cajun man say, Loup Garou, he come for you. Or now I won't go in them cornfields at night, son. You might not come back. You won't! You won't. Or, nah, that's the old Meyer house. They say bad things happen there. Might could again. Folks, do you know why country people can survive in the country when city people cannot? Country person. I'm at home. We got some. Yep. Bang! Huh, wonder what that was. Nope. It's dark. Are you gonna check the? Nope. Meanwhile, city folks, bang! What? Something's outside. I gotta go check. No, you don't! My window is closed. Why is my window closed? I don't need to look outside right now. What's outside doesn't need to look in. I am in my time, my space. I am in my lane, doing my thing. Whatever's going on out there is outside of my property. Have you ever noticed that country folks don't get up? Like, there's this line. What you doing on my land? That's a line. It's on your land. If it's not on your land, it ain't my problem. I saw Bigfoot. He was crossing the street down the road. Well, why don't you do anything? Ain't my land. You know what happens when country folks see something really scary or weird on the lawn? We saw some of them goblins come up out of the cave in Kentucky. What'd you do? We shot them. Y'all can't get there from here. You don't want to. No. Let's talk some more. I'm in a mood. I'm going to talk overall Halloween advice for you folks because it amuses me. It's totally off topic, and in its defense, we stay out of the woods at night. Yeah, you know, if we're going out, because occasionally you gotta go get wood for the fire. I don't normally bring my family up. My father is a combat Vietnam veteran. He has been shot at and hit, pooped at and hit, set on fire. The man has been through heck and back. He's one of the scariest, baddest mofos I've ever known. And technically, because I'm here, so mofo plus. Anyway, he'd get a little unnerved going out to our old wood pile. Why? Because you got the you hear stuff in those woods. But the thing is, it had good sense to stay in the woods, you wood pile. You had the transition trees. Now, some of you guys think the woods start at the tree line. No, there's usually a transition tree before you're in the woods. Learn it. We're going out. There's a flashlight and usually some kind of axe. Somebody's watching. We don't go out alone. One of you is on watch. One of you is loading the wood and lugging. This is how it's done. Oh, nope. Nope is the country safe word. Followed by hell no. What are you doing? I'll check the. Now, if it goes after our critters, that's our dog, our chickens, crops, whatever. It's our business then. But you see what happens when they switch? They don't have a. Okay. Something's messing with the dogs. Well, something's got the horses riled up. Guys, when you hear something's got the horses riled up, for city folk, translate that. Somebody's stealing your car, dude. Lock and load. Double barrel lantern. What? Have you ever noticed the country folks always grab that double barrel under one arm? Lantern. And they're like, well, why not the pump? Because you need a hand to hold the light. Till you don't. Why not a flashlight? I can set the lantern down and it's still going to shine. Boosh. 1, 2, break. And that's why you have a lot less incidents in that scenario. Now, if they're being goofy, we're hiking, taking life a little easy, might get hit tree to tree. I grew up in a wooded night vale. Wooded night vale. Friends, countrymen. Lend me your ears. I believe in my travels that the 219 area code, and especially up in the wrist, eat your face and where it shades of BS crawling in those woods. Now, the woods that Trey's talking about, They weren't allowed. The government went, nope, nobody comes in. For a long time. And I think stuff got comfortable. And then they said some people can come in. Stuff got left. Then they built a park. Happy Trail. It's a great trail. Love the trail. Hiked it many times. But do I mess around when it starts getting dark? No. Now I have, guys, I can sit down and tell stories. I've seen every glob of snow turn into skulls out there. I've seen people walk in and out of stuff. I've seen tracks that are unexplainable. I've seen paw prints as big as about a finger, about a hand and 2 fingers. I can't get this hand to work right now. Hold on. It's about that much a paw print. I tracked it for a while till I realized I was tracking a paw print that big, and it was dumb. Yeah. Now, John's like, don't need to see in the dark. I do, because I check for eye shine, folks. I randomly open my front door, check for eye shine. After checking my front door area. Do I go after it? No, I just want to know what's there. Sorry, we have... No, John, your hand size is 2 of mine. Exactly. Steve's hand size is a finger short. Sorry, finger short. This paw was 6 of my fingers wide. And it had no leading nails. Let's play a game, folks. Maybe you've noticed I'm eclectic in my skill set. What leaves a 4-toe single pad paw print that has no little nail marks? Well, friends, that means you're dealing with a cat of unusual size. Good for you, John. Okay, let me put it this way. I think I can explain, John. Everything I do from an adaptive personality, an adaptive angle, right? Train from a position of weakness. Strategize and seek a position of strength. And you're usually in good shape. Most people are not coming out with, being 6 foot lots, 4 feet wide, notorious for, caber tossing as a recreational, like most people throw darts, It's a different ballpark for you, John. You're a freaking Sasquatch. Yeah, and truly, yeah, that county is, yeah. I will someday write a book up with an edited version of my stories. It will be edited to change some names and some places, largely to keep people from being stupid. But I will write that up one of these days. I just have a few things in the queue ahead of it. Wow, we have not talked much sword stuff, but it's October, so I think folks don't mind a bit of Spookoween. I am kitty, yeah, big kitty. It is funny if one looks up the missing 411 and the geographic locations found. God help me, my first thought was an amateur. John Miner says, Jonathan wants to know what's that make him. And no, but he's a skinny, lesser Sasquatch. Like a big Sasquatch, a skinnier Sasquatch. No, I love you guys. You know that. And Tommy's a skunk ape. I'm kidding with you, Tom. I love you, man. Stay strong wherever you are. He's actually done a lot to straighten out his life, and I respect that. But let's see. Wow, I'm in a mood tonight, folks. This has not been not a very educational conversation. But what you did get here is at least a discussion earlier on practical. And for the people who want to know, as part of the Patreon, I'm going to talk about my opinions on fighting things from like supernatural defense. It'll be a series of videos where I'm talking, and possibly some types of very simple, you know, support. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so he's a brown Sasquatch, you're a Yeti because you're going gray. Don't tempt me. But my point. So that will be on the Historical Fencing Guild's Patreon. Good. He needed to be taught. Uh, so I'm planning to discuss dealing with your basic lycanthrope subtype, dealing with your 4 core vampires, excluding your some of the eastern stuff, because those dudes are not to be trifled. And I don't want to say tactical defense against the Fae, because that gets into crossing. I lost the thread that John just tied, so I'm just gonna let it go. Because saying how to fight the Fae, I mean, theoretically, if you have a manifest, like, Seelie adult, theoretically you could fight it. But as a rule, if it's Fae, you won't know how Fae it is until it's being really doing stuff. So it's more about making sure the glamour can't get you. It's almost like somebody who walks around wearing steel everywhere he goes just to be safe. Anyhow, I would never wear iron type products for such things. But we'll get into that. Do you guys want me to do any other subjects, like things that go bump, that you think you want to at least have a author or a personal version of how to bump back? Okay, you're a Yeti. Poof. John is no longer Terry and the Hendersons. He's a Yeti. The sage. I heard a theory that Bigfoot were the ghosts of Neanderthals. I may not agree with it, but it's fascinating line of thought. Moving on. Sure. Or you should be saged. John, you should always be saged. Like, that should be a decontamination process for when your helium hand goes up into stupid situations. Oh, I'm going to help! Bathe the boy in sage. And douse him in holy water. And it's going to be smelly for a okay. Sure, sounds good. I'm glad. Thank you, Cindy. I'm going to try to pull this. We really went all over the road today. I'm having fun, though, and I needed to. So we'll call that for not feeling bad about off topic. And guys, always correct. Cut in and say, hey, Nick, you're kind of getting where we don't want to go. Lay in commentary, questions, whatever. But yeah, we're I will be putting some custom discussion videos on Patreon. They would have gone up. Actually, I was planning to shoot them yesterday, but I had some present life situations, and some people I know are having problems, and I'm always going to jump towards personal service, even over like production, unless it gets real hinky, unless the contract's involved, and that's going to be that's just how I roll. But so probably this weekend, those will get posted. I'm going to post some sickle combat discussion here, hopefully. Very old school, guys. I mean, we're talking outside, on the phone, me swishing and poking and doing stuff to demonstrate the concepts I'm talking about. I just have to make a couple purchases and line some stuff up to make it go. So, because, fun story, right before everything went hinky, I was actually working on sci-fighting. Not looks like this, but it's over there sci-fighting, but death scythe style fighting. I had decided to play at that a bit, largely because I had a friend and associate who was showing up, and he was dramatic and a bit on the edgy side. There was some edgelord vibes. And given that there were edgelord vibes, I wanted to just mess with him and do the most edgelord style I could think of. And let's be honest, what screams edgelord more than freaking death, son? Genie, genie, I am death. Fear me now. And so basically, being me, even if I don't know the actual way to fight something, if you let me tinker with it for a while, I can make it go. See, for example, the bladed hula hoop style that was developed for Trey many years ago on a tongue-in-cheek. Hey, I like Soul Calibur. Can we actually make that work? You do have this thing about psychotic clown chicks, Trey. Not that I have a beef with it. It's fascinating. But, so I will go over the Psy as a great weapon. Now, it will be a simple straight Psy because the agricultural Psy has that extra handle, and it's a little harder to manufacture on the fly. But we'll see. Versus what the war combat Psy and sickle became. And you'll see this evolution of simplicity and logic. And that's one thing I really do enjoy. Sorry. Oh, Soul Calibur, yes. No, we did, John. I was proud of how well that made it work. Yes. Yes. And no, somebody who there was posted some commentary basically asking, wait a second, Nick, how can somebody who likes simplicity be a rapierist? Well, it goes into my approach to lightsaber. If I am given the chance to be flashy and swirly and dancy, I'm gonna stab somebody, possibly in the winky. I believe in my paladin soul, I won't engage in an unjust fight, but I will certainly engage in an unfair fight because I am short, I am gimpy, and I have the reach of a 6-year-old. So yeah, if it comes out, it'll come down. Let's go. When? Some point in the near future. Good luck. Ninja smoke. It is really, really hard to disappear in fluorescent Hawaiian print. But I have that skill if need be. But, guys, all jokes, breathe for a second. This has been a fun video, and this has been a fun, off-the-cuff kind of deal. But when we're talking about styles and everything, you'll notice I have a pattern, and this pattern goes to everything. Let's distill things down to the simplest form. That's why it's not the stylish sword or the sexy sword. It's the simple sword. That is one of the names of my style. A couple others got floated, including variants of the white boot style and different names and stuff. But the simple sword is that simple. And if you are having problems that you can specifically discuss, we can always adapt. We can work toward it. And that's what it needs to be. That's what it's about. It's about understanding your position. And that's, I don't know who said it, but there's a philosopher, and I cannot remember who said, there is no greater waste than an unexamined life. It's one of my favorites. I love that thought. You need to know yourself. And honestly, cowardice will kill you because it will cause inaction, but so will bravado. If you don't have the beans to back up what you're saying, you'll get owned. So how do we fix this? Know your limitations. A man has got to know his limitations and work within them to expand them. But you have to always be anchored in this very clear, simple reality. And many people aren't, to the point I look at people and the physical, if I said physical education, you're going to think gym class running around. I'm talking about, I understand I can reach this far. I understand how fast I can reach. I understand when I step where my reach goes. So most of the time, I can move through most situations relatively unentangled. And once in a while, my pockets will catch on something or, something along those lines. But I thought it was Socrates. Socrates is one of my favorites. But I realized I couldn't remember if it was truly historical Socrates or Socrates from Dan Millman's wonderful book, Way of the Peaceful Warrior, which I do recommend anybody who's interested in a philosophical analysis of athleticism, of how to bring yourself back. Dan Millman has written some really neat books, and his Socrates, who I would presume is a bit of a creation. I don't know. The reality overlaps some mysticism, so it's one of those where understand the point of the story, but don't quibble about the minutia. But yes, understand how you think. For example, John's talking a lot. He thinks in terms of how big he is. He thinks in terms of how much an effect he can reach out, but he forgets how big a target that makes him, both literally and metaphorically. There's a balance to all things, and I find when you are training, especially Western martial arts, what we do, it teaches that kind of thinking. Because I never, ever want to do anything for just one reason, folks. What do I mean? On the field, if I'm doing something, it should accomplish one of two things. It should create an advantage or eliminate a disadvantage. Optimally both. And if weighed, it gets dicey. But if you're doing something and it's not creating an advantage, it is not removing a disadvantage in life, look at it. Are you? That could be a waste of time. Now you can say, no, it's not. Okay, well, what's it doing? It's giving. Now, see this thing. If I sit down and play a first-person shooter game almost every day. Not every day, but regularly. It's a free-to-download game. I'm not terribly good at it. And I do have this belief that it is okay to enjoy things even if you're not talented at it. From a point, I'm terrible at it. Anybody who's seen me play a first-person shooter knows I am not good at them, but I enjoy them. I find them cathartic. You're wasting your time. No, I'm not, because I carry around a vast quantity of stress, and that relieves some. It also gives a sense of normalcy to my day. If I can sit down and do something like that, I've done something. My mind has been engaged. My attention has been engaged. It's something. It's why I check the mail on Sundays. I check the mail on Sundays. I walk out to the mailbox and I check the mail. I've had people, why? Especially from the mentality, what do you gain from it? Part of it is that's something I haven't been able to do at points in my life. And there have been points I've been told I'd never be able to do it. And I live every day with the knowledge, as I've lived for 20 some odd years now, that one wrong step, one misstep, one tumble might put me to the ground for the last time that my legs work. They still don't know why. My nerves are all screwed up. A bunch of things are going on. Always happen. And that could paralyze me, or it could inspire me, or the human reaction is it does both. But I do it because I still can. And every time I do it, I've won something. And when we talk about things, when I get to speak about writing, I am not a terribly I'm moderately successful. I sell some stuff. It puts me much higher than a lot of people. But I don't, as much as I need money. I'm not just doing this for money. I'm certainly not doing it for fame. I'm doing what I do when I make a game, when I make the Simple Sword, when I make a book, when I do a video like this, to elevate something. To embolden or encourage or heal or empower. And I also do it for longevity because I never do anything for only one reason. I have a son. He's special needs. He's my world. And I live in a world where all the protections that exist, should we be able to get them for him, could be taken away. Heartless, cold creatures running around disguised as humans, for a better word, are doing so and would do so in a heartbeat on the subject for greed and avarice and self-service. They do it. Every special needs person I've ever worked with lives with that. So I have to think, a man of modesty, because I have very modest means. I've never been wealthy. Has to try not only to educate him in a world that's this cruel, but provide something lasting, knowing that all the protections that are supposed to be in place might not be. But see, if I write a book, that check comes in, and it may be $3, $4. I don't make a lot of profit right now. But that money is a passive income stream that should exist after I'm gone. It's a survival legacy. Because, like I said, they don't know. And I've lost enough people to understand that I have no illusion that I won't step out and just get smacked by one of those seed trucks. I won't live in fear of it, but I'll look both ways. I'll wear a mask, and I limit my travel extensively because I'm susceptible to the illness that's out there. But it's not fear, it's precaution. And at the same time, I need to figure out ways to work around it. John asked me, are you on that last nerve? I know you're being facetious. And nah, you haven't even annoyed me that much. But I do wake up and I have days where this hand doesn't. I have this, and I have to work to keep these two fingers going because of the nerve damage in my wrist. That's why I don't draw as much as I used to. I game, and when it's bad, I have a modified controller I essentially built up to do what I need to do. Because I believe in being adaptive and being proactive. And that's okay. You're not racing the marathoner. You're racing the you that's still on the couch. That is the only opponent. The part of you that wants to give up, eat the frickin' bonbons or whatever, hunker down on the couch and just, I don't care no more. I'm sitting in my dirty clothes. I'm gonna just watch whatever. I don't give a damn. No, whatever. That is the slowest suicide. And if there's one thing I do not condone above all else, it's suicide. So, what do? We live. We help each other to live. We build up using the systems we have to empower ourselves and others. Now, some people use faith, and I will be happy to talk about faith with people, but I am not a pastor. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a shaman. I'm not anything ornate. I'm not a minister. Just a simple guy trying to do the right thing. So I'm sure they're better. But I do know a bit about being gimpy. And I say gimpy to take the term back because I've had it used against me. I know a bit about being fat. And I know a bit about the things that happen in people's minds when they begin to define themselves by their limitation. I can't. Can't is a 4-letter word for a reason, folks. And I'm not going to give like the happy, you can do it, because I'll do that at times. But really, I believe a mix of love, faith, and spite. Because, if I talk about the people who most influenced me, I had an art teacher. I walked in the first day in middle school. I'll never forget. Her name was Miss Hillsland. She looked at me in the middle of the crowd and said, "You, the closet." There was a desk in the art closet. Somehow something was wrong with her, and she decided that I had a brain chemical disorder. To this day, I don't know what set her off. But every day I would walk in that dang dark closet. Couldn't sit out with the class, whatever. She sent notes to my parents. I literally just walked in with a gaggle of people. I was a little late. Don't know what it was about. I could have hated art. And I would have been justified. But I was also locked in an art closet full of materials and no compunctions against using them. So I'd knock out my work and I'd do all sorts of crazy stuff with her stuff. And it was fine. I'm like, you can't make me stop. I've had other teachers. Don't do that. Don't draw anime. Don't draw, cartoon. Don't be serious. Or, well, do that. Don't draw flowers. It makes you gay. Yes, I'm old enough that men drawing or painting flowers was a sign of homosexuality according to educators. And they would give you flack. Oh, same year. I had a woman named Miss Booth. Miss Booth, no, that was high school. High school was the next year. Miss Booth was a literary teacher, a great, rotund, porcine woman. And she passed, and I did not mourn her, which is not very Christian of me, but it's very human of me. And she'd take our stories away. We'd write stories back and forth, shared world, scripts and stuff. Great fun. And yell at us about you're wasting your time. You're doing this. You're doing that. You should never write that. So now I write and I publish them. My art's been in 38 countries thanks to promotions for Arcticon. My point being, I did have some good teachers who inspired me. And people I met later in life inspired me. There's a wonderful woman. Her name's Kelly Takali Rothmel. Brilliant artist. Radiant light of a person. She's the kind of art teacher I wish I had. Wonderful woman. There are people who inspired me I never met. Guys like Mark Sisler, Bob Ross, the PBS people. Those are the people who built when others tore down. And as much as I have spite against the people who tore down, the people say, no, you can't. You're too poor to sword fight. You can't afford the gear. And that was actually thrown my way real early on. And I wouldn't be able to have fenced except Yusuf bin Ali. uh, Benny. Benny ran Benny's Bazaar of the Bazaar, a SCA merchant booth that famously had the finest in cheap Afghani crap that John didn't deem worthy of his spittle. I'd spit on your blades, but I don't want to waste the spit. At one point, great guy though. We're joking. Benny was amazing, but he was talking. He came to me one day. He calls me by a name I don't use anymore, and please don't bring it up. But just let the old ghost lay for a while. All right, I'm talking to you, John. Just let that one drop. But my friend, I have something, and he lifts the back flap. And Benny really was like the merchants of old. You had what was up and back was the expensive stuff. The cheap stuff you might be able to afford was here as a poor college kid. But every once in a while, he'd flip up and pull something from under his table. And he pulls out this beautiful rapier, Offelschlager blade, 34-inch blade, cup hilt. You've seen what it became. And this ancient master's mask, just barely enough to pass the punch tests and coverage. And he's like, it would be 100 for anyone else, but it would be 80 for you. And I had $83 in my pocket that I had saved for, we're not going to talk about how long, multiple years to get spending money like this. And I was saving it to try to order something from triplet.com. Because we didn't even have ZenWire back then. And this beautiful, and I was like, that's the way the universe works. That's the synchronicity. That's the kind side of the high strangeness that seems to stalk the hollowed halls of the marginalized. If you pay it, drooled on I bought that, and I think I had a McChicken for no. That was, what event was that? I think Mandy had made the food, and I had enough gas, because you always leave your gas money in the car. The gas money doesn't come in because you don't ever want to buy a sword and run out of gas, which sounds silly, but those were the days. Yeah, that. I had somebody try and come run up and try and buy it out from under me. I don't think it was you, John, but somebody wanted to buy that sword out from under me, and I'm like, no, this is mine. Going. And I still, it's my most prized fencing blade. It's right over there by Lydia, and I absolutely adore that weapon. I've had to replace the blade, change the parts, but it's still the same sword. Don't ask me how to explain. If you don't understand, you never will. But and that is what I carved a hole in the darkness that was around me in that part of my life. And that's what, when you realize the opponent is yourself, and you realize all that's been inflicted upon you can be fought. You bought dinner that evening. Yes, you did, John. You bought dinner that evening. Because you were mad because I was going to get water and like a sandwich. Because I was being my usual, I'm poor, and I'm not bothering anyone. So water and a sandwich it is. And it's kind of funny. But yeah, John covered me. John, good. You were a good guy then, good guy now. But yeah. I took up that blade and I drilled and I trained, and people got mad. How are you getting so good? What secret styles are you training? Let me tell you, between 200 and 500 shots a night. That's how you get good. You get the same weapon. You don't mess around. You pick what feels right, what's scaled to you, and you train with it till it is part of you. Till you could do it asleep, you could do it awake, you could do it tired, you could do it mad. Your control is always it. No matter what happens in the world around you, you are building a constant, a fixed value. and you use that to fight your opponents, you fight your friends, you fight anybody who wants to spar. And it's funny, I came in second. Many, many, many times. I never won a tourney, and part of it is because the few I could attend always ended up having a guest who would either be incredibly skillful, or it would be somebody who simply wouldn't take a shot. And there were a few of those. But it wasn't, for me, it never was about chasing the awards. It was never about chasing prestige. Because honestly, if I could go out and fight, be better, and get left alone to help somebody else, that's all I wanted. That's all I asked. And that was too much because it broke the system, I think. I think what happened is when you stop treating knowledge and understanding like a commodity and you treat it like a gateway for people to get better, it removes the economy of competition. And then it becomes about your skills. It's not weighing the game. It's equity. And that's what I've always sought. And that's what I teach. I want you to seek. I want you to find your version of equity. And victory conditions, I want you to realize what is winning for you. And if you can figure these things out, and it takes thought and it takes time, and you have to put in the hours, you have to put in, and I'm still not a great high level anything, and you feel free to throw those who can do, those who can't teach. You can throw that at me and it might stick, but because it's not about me, so I accept it. But you have to learn and become it, and that's where you're winning, in my opinion. Now, some folks, they need the title. They need to stay in whatever system, martial arts to get the belts, or the SCA and play the game to get the awards or the titles or the prestige. And I've seen people sacrifice friends, family, jobs, chasing that aspect of the dream. And it never ceases to sicken me because they're always wanting more, because that's not an actual, they think it's victory, but it's not. Yeah, thank you, John. John says you use the equipment you have to your advantage, and those you face, their honor is not where yours was. No, but it offended them. A lot of my problems were born of that hard philosophical difference. And it is my channel, and I will talk. Philosophy is as much a part of what we do as physicality. Never doubt that. It's not just what you do, it's why you do it. There's power in that. There's truth in that. And it's not easy, and it's hard to capitalize. But you have a fight. John says I always underestimate myself. There is some truth to that. And there is a point. I found something out once. Then you won. If you fenced because it was fun and you had fun, you won. If you lost every bout but you had fun, you won. I know people who've gone, I fenced and I lost. I've seen helmets get spiked, temper tantrums. They missed the point. There can only be one victor. It's not an efficient way to pursue. Now, there are some people I know who do that, and that's great. But wow, John, that was an interesting phrase. I travel in colorful circles. But a lot of what I'm seeing is helping folks be that, and it's adapting. And it's like I'm talking to people who I've developed ultra lightweight foil rigs because they can only hold a couple ounces. Uh, you know, I've worked with people with extreme limited mobility, but if they're out there doing it, they're better than the guy like I love role playing, I love RPGs, I love D&D, even love Diablo and stuff. But there's a line between your character, and I love my personal character sheet. Because it tells me things. I love knowing what I can do and what I can't because I can work on it. And I love saying, no, I can throw an axe. Not fictional character can throw an axe. I can forge a knife. Now, and it may not be the best. That's okay. I don't have to be the best. I just have to be able to do it enough to say, I did it. And yeah, I'm having fun. Because I'm not about the competition. Now, one thing John said, you always underestimate yourself. There was once a day. It wasn't an attorney. It wasn't any great showy thing where something happened. I was on my way to a practice. That practice was held at, I want to say it was a Moose Lodge. It's a downtown Valparaiso, just a few blocks from the Buffalo Wild Wings. It was Elks Lodge, maybe. My memory's not so good. It's okay. But I was driving there like I did every, I want to say Thursday, Friday night at the time. And I saw somebody in passing. And that person was the spitting image and possibly the literal person from my past who had done great and devastating harm and instilled much fear in me. Real fear, like I don't want to die kind of fear. And I hit that practice I don't think it was VFW Lodge because it's in Valpo. I didn't think it was VFW. I thought it was an Elks, but okay, whatever. You know John knows what I'm talking about. I hit that practice and they decided to do, I don't think it was a Valhalla. It might have been a Valhalla Circle of Death. Big open area in this little big list field, one of the biggest ones I've found. And I hit it scared. And I tell people, make me mad or make me scared, but never make me both. And I was still carrying the fear. I can't talk about it because most of the people there, I didn't trust as far as I could throw them. And I didn't want to give power to what I was dealing with. So I went out on this field and I proceeded to take and hold that field for about 45 minutes to an hour and a half. I don't know how long we were fighting. And it was one of those few times where I was good. I was skating around that list field. Half the time I was fighting, running backwards, did not get. Because all I cared about was killing every single person who came in front of me. Because I needed to do something about what I saw, what I felt, what it brought up. And I'll be honest, I was half in and half out. I mean, my control was impeccable. My calibration was perfect because I trained my body. I trained my body for when my mind was messed up because I knew at some point someday my mind would be messed up. And I fought. And I was done after a few days. And I mean spent. I had burned off. And my goes, right. Why don't you fight like that every day? That was amazing. And yeah, a couple people were mad. You've been holding back this whole time? What the fuck? And it's like, I didn't have fun. It was not fun to fight like that. It was impressive. It was. I held the line, and I held it quickly, and against multiple opponents. I remember listening to Aiden McDougal. Like, don't let him choose the battle. Don't let him choose the engagement, because it was my field. I only fought him if I could hit him. If I did it, I wasn't there. I had enough room to not be. My legs were working. I was mobile, and I was cold. I went out and I got my water, my drinks and stuff. I think coffee might have been involved, because I don't drink. I've never drunk, never will, for the alcohol thing. No judgment, not my thing. But I went after. They bear pitted me, and they just kept coming. I just kept coming. Why isn't it? Because I took it serious and it wasn't fun. That wasn't my. When I stepped on the field in that group, my goal was to have a good time first. Actually, my goal was to be safe first, have a good time, and from there, whatever happened, happened. And maybe, I don't know if that makes me a bad competitor. I've thought about it a lot. It's one of those I ponder, because I didn't like the me that was on the field. It was mechanical. It was doing the job. It was putting things down. But while I was doing it, I wanted to put them down. Even though my calibration, I didn't hurt anybody, but I wanted them negated. And it went a long time. And that they also realized at the time that my stamina was much higher than theirs. I'm not now. I'm old and I'm fat and I'm gimpy and I'm dealing with some stuff, but I was good. Like, you could win more tourneys. You should be at this. You should be that. And just furious with me. Why don't you fight like that all the time? And they couldn't grasp, because that wasn't fun. And that's because I have fought people. I have fought to defend myself. And I will never have that bloodlust glory into battle. If it's real, it's not fun. It's a job that must be done. If violence is ever used, every time of violence, even therapeutic violence, when you're dealing with special needs people being behavioral, or the mentally ill, or the police or whatever, anytime you're engaging in violence, it is a failure if it's serious. Fencing, I was in between. I was the other Nick, for lack of a better word. And I'm sure we did speak about it. Yeah. But because John and I's relationship at the time was very different than me and some of the other fencers. And it's funny, because while John was someone who fenced, he was never a fencer in my mind. It's a category thing. John was John. He was something separate. Not even a heavy fighter. John was John. A few people were like that. Jesse was Jesse. Victor Vukovic, who people don't know. You guys don't know. Most of you don't know Victor Vukovic. Well, actually, most of you do know Victor Vukovic, who's watching. Victor's Victor. Heavy field, light field, Nerf guns, doesn't matter. Victor's Victor. Nah, John. You came close. You've never seen Alnick. You can extrapolate enough to understand, but I will tell you right now, you've never seen Alnick. But no one should. If anyone ever were to see Alnick, every aspect, it would be problematic for a multitude of reasons. So no. But you've seen more than a great many people. And I appreciate that you respect that. Because as Cindy put it, I was in a fugue state. But even though I was in a fugue state, I was still in control. And that's something I am anal about. The Virgo thing in some cases, it's I control myself because that's the man who can control himself has more power than the man who can control 100 or 1,000. Autopilot, yeah, autopilot's closer because that's what it was. So the shots come in, no. Yeah, that's where it was. I refer to the spirit of nope. And that is something you always want to aspire to. Like, if you can stay happy, because I've been in slightly lesser but much happier, where you're having the good day. Nope, you can't touch this. Have a time. But the spirit of nope is something to be ascended. And what's great is when you get two people who are bordering on the spirit of nope. This is when you get fencers who are going ting 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 ting. And you have that, you can dance to it, that rhythm, and your heart is booming in your chest. No, you're not gonna, and it's funny because I loved melees far more than one-on-ones, and I don't know why. But one-on-ones just never hit the give a dang button as much as a perceived melee. And I think what happened that night was it was more like a serial melee instead of a single episode. It was like, we're part of the melee. Pop, pop, pop. Oh, you're next to the melee. Pop, 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 pop. It never felt like a single bout. It never had that duelist mentality because all the trappings of it, I think. Bow to your partner. Bow to the person who inspires you. Bow to whatever kingdom we're supposed to bow to. Bow, bow, bow. Respect, respect, respect. It's like two of these I don't really care about most of the time. One of them I absolutely don't, and one I'd kill y'all for, so whatever. But, God, I'm jaded. Melee. Just pow, 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 pow. It turns on the I'm playing by the rules of the game, but not this whole. This is a fight. I can do this. I'm not gonna stand and be fair. Come and get me. Whee! I don't feel like moving. I'm not gonna come get you. You know, I prefer to be the water, but I'll do. I am the land. This is me. I'm not moving. I ain't gonna come get you. Break over me like a tide because I ain't going anywhere. Or it's you can't hit me. And I will tell you the best feeling I found as a swordsman isn't killing people. It's being untouchable. Because if you get in that Dex God mentality where the shots are coming in and you're voiding, like, it's really, when you're there, all you need is just enough. Nope. And that's how a lot of that went. Nope. 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 What are you doing? A good one? Nope. Sorry. It will piss people off. The other thing that would piss me, because shortly after that, I realized, looking back and looking at different times, people heard about that. Word got around. Like, we want to see that. And they fight me. And people who, I'm better than you. Okay. And they eventually beat me. Okay. But it was never easy. And I was never intimidated by that. Because I've had enough people kick the stuffing out of me that the capacity of beating me up doesn't impress me. Yeah. And so, especially in the game, because it's still just a game. I don't know. I don't know if that makes me a bad sportsman. I don't know if that just my suspension of disbelief doesn't. But at the end of the day, we're all people were all dressed up, playing dress up, playing make believe, swish and poking. part of it's because like if I was a kid, cap, done, moving on, you know. But I didn't want to be there, and I don't like that. And I realized a lot of people did. A lot of people take it very serious, and they took the titles serious. And like I said, never let something you never let prestige overcome love. Love of yourself, love of your friends, love of your family, love of your fellow man. Prestige ain't worth it. At the end of the day, you'll die alone and they'll say great things about you after you're gone. And then after that's done, people say the truth about you after you're gone. And that's not what I'm about. I'd rather, this is true. Nick was an asshole, but he meant well, or something along those lines. If I can help one person, I've done some good. Move on. But I am like I said, I'm planning to do some videos and editing this weekend, so things are going to come up. I'm well over my 2-hour line. Somehow I still have beverage left. I mean, there's sorcery. But I want to take a minute. Wow. I think I kind of fugued talking about it because I'm not sure I was all here for part of that, folks, but you seemed at least entertained and maybe educated, and maybe it'll get you thinking. And if it gets you thinking about your own experience, cool. Oh, wow. The old ghost was walking the halls tonight, I guess. I hope so, John. I hope I've done good, because that's, in the end, all I got. Love my family, love my friends, help folks. Recently, I've been reminded that they may hate you for helping them. I've saved lives and been hated for it before. Do it again until I'm not here anymore. But while I am here, I'm going to keep writing. I'm going to keep creating. And even if it doesn't do well, I'm going to do it because one person. All I need is one person. Hey, that was fun. Hey, to give me enough hope to keep going. Shreds. I'm an old umbrella. If I can keep a couple people dry, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be here for. So, since we are well past my 2-hour line, I want to take a minute and thank. I want to thank Trelena. I don't know if she's still here or not, but it's been great hearing from you. I want to thank John. John, you always are very active and talking. And of course, I want to thank Cindy Kep, guys. Everybody who does this, everybody who watches this, thanks Cindy Kep, because she and a wonderful gentleman by the name of Steve Gusto, speech impediment. They help keep the lights on. The couple bucks I get from them are how I can afford to buy PVC and trainer. And John's like, good night, all. Nick's doing his wind down. Yeah, I am. If you like what I do, please consider joining the Patreon. I will be putting a lot more up there. Thanks for the patience of those who really didn't get a lot out of it, because I was trying to funnel every bit of energy I could into this channel, into building up the guild, into building up people. And, that takes that. Put up a wish list. Hi, Steve. Didn't know you're still there. Yeah, I'll figure out a wish list at some point. I don't even. Once we get through COVID and I can meet people again, I can see what I have, see what people I've retained. I can then see what we need to keep going. I'm constantly researching gear, trying to find the right stuff. So I appreciate it. Steve is a different kind of supporter. He's the reason I got that cool stuff from Cool Hand to talk about. He sends me stuff to review, and we have some other business things in tentatives that can make I think make things better. I don't know all of it. I just go on faith, guys. Somewhere between faith in God and used to the high strangeness flow at this point. I'm seeking the groove wherever it takes me. But I want to thank the Patreon, the patrons, and thank the folks I've been getting trickles of bites on Amazon of late. Sale here, sale there. Every cent helps. So if you want to do that, look up Amazon.com/author/Nicholas Tucker, and you'll find things like The Simple Sword, which is the manual of the system that I've been talking about all this time. I am working on a pseudo sequel because the Strong Sword got put aside for this really neat axe project I'm working on that's going to transition and overlap. And the axe projects can go to the patrons first, and then it will come back through Amazon in a slightly different variant because of contract issues with Amazon. To be part of certain programs, it has to only be published through Amazon. So that's coming. Yes, I want to see John and Steve and pretty much everybody else who wants to spar get a chance. It's just good for the soul. Guys, it's been a great night. I will be putting out more videos between now and next week, barring disaster. So keep up, be good to each other, guys. Keep your guard up, especially in 2020. Don't drop your guard. Don't be disarmed. And of course, as always, support your local Swordmaster.